Dang, I even forgot what we're talking. Oh, there we are. Oi.
We're live.
We are we? Okay,
Yeah.
awesome. So Adrian, I like you as well. I'm going to share this out to a number of the groups, and we can see that he's got that coming up right now. That is good. And let's see here. Let's do it this way. I just tag everybody.
It's playing up again. It's doing that thing that we did last week. I suppose when you go live.
Are you having the exterior forces working on?
No. That's all right. That's all right. I think it's settled now. I think it's done.
Good. So while I'm just tagging a bunch of groups here, Adrian, this art of oneness, truth and oneness. I think this is a big question coming up with a lot of people. Exactly, what is the essence of oneness in the quest of the ascension? And we're seeing the divine feminine take a route, and we're seeing some of the divine masculine take a route. The rest of it's still trying to figure out where they are, so to speak, in this world that's sort of turned upside down. Okay, so how do you see this playing out at the moment, Adrian, in this essence of not just the ascension, but the essence of spirit, the essence of oneness, this balance within yourself, whether you're male or female, okay, regardless of the gender, is how do you see it playing out at the moment?
Well, I think we can drop the word oneness, we can drop the word ascension, because we're being tested at this point in time.
Yeah.
And if we're trying to locate a space, we're then trying to frazzle our way of getting there in a uniqueness of self. So there's nothing written on how to remain within oneness. There is spiritual ways of healing self and doing all of those things necessary through meditation, through breathing. If people aren't doing that, then you can't say that you're going to oneness or you're striving for ascension, because you're being ignorant of those things that are necessary. You're being complacent on those tools that you need to have as you go through this journey. The testing now is because of the heart saying, oh my God, this is about to happen. All of those things that have been pre-sent in a notion of what is about to arrive is being displayed. It's being shown. It's being illustrated as we talk. And having that as an understanding, you then want to diffuse to become into that oneness, to come into that whole space of taking that breath and going, okay, this is their game playing out. This is not what we have spoken about anymore. This is literally happening. Okay, so anything that was preconceived about saviors coming in and doing anything that they wanted to do and stop all of this was the ultimate showing now of a fast that has been had, a complete space of people that were maintaining another level of people that woke up to take them down a pathway of saying, oh, this isn't going to happen, this isn't going to happen, it's all about this, it's all about that, it's all about this, it's all about that. When in actual fact, it's all about you stepping away, breathing, and consciously saying, okay, if that is their game and they're forcing that hand now, what is my responsibility to remain within that space that I know that I am not anxious, I am not fearful, and I am in my own balance of self. And that's the only equation that I can add to that game.
Very, very well said. It's maybe my expectations of for an example, where I come from, where I am in the essence of understanding of this oneness. It's been a lot of practice, okay, and understanding a lot of things. But that doesn't mean that's the only thing. There's like you said, there's things that are going on in the moment, right here in the here and now, that a lot of people are not focusing on or seeing, and rather they're jumping down a pathway or following a so-called guru or an ideology that it's taking them apart from the actual truth at hand. And this truth at hand is this essence of oneness is not just oneness with me. It's oneness with all life, with the earth, with the mother earth, with the plants, with the species of, everything that has a heartbeat. And trees have a heartbeat. I feel one with a heart with a tree. In fact, I feel more one with a tree than I do feel with most humans. Okay, because the human energy for most of it is scattered all over the place. Okay, and like you said, there was the forecast of the saviors, the forecast of certain entities or people coming in, or dropping down to whisk us away into the Garden of Eden, when the Garden of Eden isn't to be found outside of where we are right now. It's actually right here before us. And there's so much going on that it's not being talked about or shown, that all that is being shown is the fear mongering, the anxiety, all of the things that we can go down those rabbit holes, which I really don't want to go down them, because there's enough people talking about it. Okay. And, I know that we both get questioned on it. We both get questioned on, what do we think about, the V thing, and what do we think about the M thing and all of this. But, is it as important about what I think? What is it more important about what you think as the individual?
Why are we typecasting a moment? Why aren't we saying, what is your opinion of the story? If we're talking about the saving of humanity,
yes,
then the V word won't come out. The V word won't come up at all, because that is a part. Oh shit, man! What happened there? You there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay, so hang on. It's just flipped out. Let's do that. So
isn't technology?
Yeah, I know. It's this thing. It's this program. If we talk about what is what, it's the story in itself, because the story is the major contributor to all of these fractions, these fractures of all of these conversations.
Yes.
Yeah, and to say that the V word is now the most important word of all, no. There's many different stories which are just all being squashed because of this one moment.
Yep.
And is this one moment the saving or the failing of humanity? No. It's the test, but there's no failing. There's no failing. Because if their scientific claim is that we are in more of what we have to survive, we have more people here than what we have to survive, then you know what? Everybody tests the limits every day of their life. And if they're going to do it into that ridiculousness, it's their own journey. It's their own journey. I'm sorry to say that, because our responsibility, as I said earlier, is only upon self. Because we know that this story is going to be seen at some point for the fast that it is. And if we cannot categorically have that within ourselves, what are we fighting for? Seriously.
Yeah.
What are we fighting for? If we cannot categorically say that the darkness has had their time and this is their last extraordinary effort to maintain a threshold of actual ownership, then yes, okay, do that. It was inevitably going to happen. Inevitably going to happen. Can we stop that? No, because it's already been in place. Could we have stopped it? No, because we weren't responsible for our oneness to realize that that story has no actual relevance to my owning it. Because I woke up here, do I have to wake up into that space and rationalize, oh, yeah, okay, I want to be part of that still because I've got to save those people? No, that's not ignorant either, because nobody wants to save anybody because they haven't saved themselves. They'll talk it all. They will talk it all, but they will talk about saving people all the day, but never recognize that they are the most important cog in that successful outcome.
Very, very well said. I mean, you can't exactly, in the short of it, you cannot save another if you haven't saved yourself first. And it starts with each and every individual. I spent years trying to help so many people see a different pathway, and giving all of my energy into that, to find out that they're not seeing the pathway not my pathway, but the pathway that they have before them, and just come back around full circle again. So there's a certain point that you get to. I got to a point in my life where I turned and I said, you know what, enough. Okay, it's hundreds of people, and listening to their steps and listening to all of this to find out that they're only there to ask the question so that somebody can give them the answer, so that if it goes wrong, they'll blame you rather than blame self. So they're not doing the work. We all have to do this work. You know, in order for us to save humanity, we have to come together for one, but we also have to do the work for self, because we can't just ride the wave. If you think you're going to ride the wave into the ascension and, you know, the savior and the saving of humanity, it's not going to happen. You're going to be dropped off of the wayside, okay? Because things are going to shift. Whether we want it or not, it's happening. We're seeing many things that are happening around the world outside of what the media is talking about. If you're really doing the research, you'll start to see that there's lots of things going on, okay, that we're impervious to because it's not being shown to us. You got to really dig into it, okay? And the
Everything is a
same.
contradiction.
Sorry.
Everything is a contradiction.
No matter which way you look,
Yeah.
and anybody that's out there walking right now and making a living and spending money, okay, it's all a contradiction. No matter what you're buying, it's a contradiction to life. You think you're buying good food, you're not buying good food. You think you're buying a good product because the manufacturer says it's a good product. It's not a good product. Okay, it's polluting the waterway. So it might give you a temporary fix to what you're
But
trying to.
even deeper than that, yeah, the whole manipulation from childhood to understand and rationalize a brand new his story, yeah, that you learnt through. So taking the innocence away from the child who already knew what had happened previously because nobody had told him any different. And then when a child is told different, that's a whole adjustment on who they are, and bang, they're alive. So anything that there was in their place of joy is now being stripped away from them. That's each and every one of us, ladies and gentlemen. Not the child that's out there making mud cakes today. That's you making mud cakes, however old you are now, back then. So that whole establishment of you need to be here to accomplish this, to get that, to do this, to do that, that is all an absolute contradiction. Because they were playing a game of mastery and mastering where we were to be. And they knew if they put our faith in a banking fraternity, or if they put our faith in a space where they were governing some form of admirable ownership of humanity, they had us in a nutshell. We've voted them in time and time again and let them spend billions and billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars.
Well, from a man's perspective, from a man's perspective, they didn't just have us in a nutshell; they had us by the balls.
Exactly.
Okay, in many ways,
exactly. So
and still in many ways. Okay, they're to walk outside of this is definitely not easy. Okay, but if it was easy, it wouldn't be surfing. Okay, or serving the purpose. We need to go through the challenges, because if not, we're not going to be strong enough for what's coming. These challenges are about us, and we're being faced with them. We're being faced with the question of self-love, of respect, of kindness, of looking after the earth, of looking after fellow human beings, of taking responsibility, okay, for walking on this earth rather than just taking it for granted. Okay, and
like the mastery of how they played it. People watching television, yeah? People watching television. It comes to an epic moment in the episode, right, where you've got a whole space of owning it with the heart space. They've captured that moment, that essence of heart. They go to an ad. The first ad is, we've got Jimmy in Africa who has no water. You can send him $10 now. and
Yeah.
then he'll be able to have water in his village for the next year. And they play on them heartstrings by the structure of how people are watching the television.
Oh God, they've
So
done this. They've done that with everything, whether
everything.
it's
That's what I'm
cancer.
saying. It's a complete contradiction. Complete
It's all.
contradiction because it's all
It's
a
like
fucking lie.
now we're both getting cranked because we see how much bullshit's going on. Okay,
Well,
when
dude,
when, when
I don't talk about this because you expect that people would understand as they go through the process of what everything is a contradiction is, and take
well,
it to its full gamut.
excuse me. I take an example of a. I'm going to use an example here. Bell Mobility or Bell. Okay, and it goes Bell. Let's talk, and it's all about mental health awareness, and it's all of this hoopla, and it's like okay, share this, and they'll donate this, and we'll donate that, and all of this when it's garbage because it's a gameplay. It's washing, okay, or basically trying to pull the wool over your eyes and say, I'm a great corporation, or I offer a great service. Here, pay a little bit more for my Bell service because, well, we care about humans. Well, really? No, they don't. Okay. And the same thing with the breast cancer associations and the other cancer associations. The amount of money that is donated from the peoples into this, there is probably 10% of it that goes to the source where it's needed, and the rest of it is paying a lifestyle. Okay, these people
Exactly.
fly around the world, they go to conferences, they're in 5-star hotels, they're hobbing and nobbing with the rich of the world because, hey, I'm doing something for humanity. Really? No, the sickness was created by us, and you're trying to tell me that you're going to do something for humanity. Yeah, when I say eyes wide open, it's truly eyes wide open. We got to look at everything. Okay, and in the media, the television, the corporations, the governments, all of it. It is all
You don't
turned
have
around.
to. You don't have to. You don't have to. It's painful to experience that. You know that. For those that are now awakening, it's the acceptance. That's all that it is, the acceptance. Because the biggest element of change is acceptance. And if you can accept that there is a change that you are able to make upon yourself at this point in time, to walk away from that story that they put upon you and use the methods of how you use those practices into the new version of you.
Mm-hmm.
And taking into consideration what you have seen through that journey, corporate, warehousing, logistics, manufacturing, whatever it may be. There has always been a level of you not truly being you. And if you can actually absorb that element and go, yes, I appreciate that, all of those tools that got you to those high points and then pinnacle points of your career are now the tools that you've got because you've accepted that the most important element of all of this is the change of you. If you change you to oneness, that is one less person that is talking about that story. And if then somebody asks you and you explain it in the same fashion to them, but in your words, that is another person that is not listening to that story. This doesn't happen like that.
Mm.
It can, it should, but the ego is fighting hard. And the ego wants to represent the winning point. That's all it wants. The ego only ever wants to win. So now the ego's fighting to win, and it's not considering the whole element of what it's going to have to stand as when it does win. Because the falseness of lies and conceit is not tolerated within the truth element of what that higher vibration is.
Very well said. Very, aspects.
Dude, I got nothing. Nothing's in my head. Okay, and you would have noticed I haven't been on Facebook for the last 5-6 days because that I knew that chaos is abundant now.
Yeah.
Because we're just in the second lockdown or the next big lockdown here. So, and all over the world is going through it in the same proportion. So that is an energy level. Whilst we're opening this pathway of energy, that same pathway of energy is being discussed in that other vibration, that other story. So what's serving the best purpose? Where is the actual assimilation and blending to the element of love, which is the most necessary at this point, as opposed to the argument and frustration of what we're witnessing now in our own backyard?
The truth of this aspect of love, and I've had a couple of conversations over the last couple of days with this, and somebody is saying to me, like, I have a problem with self-love. Why do you have a problem with self-love? You have a problem with self-love, it's because your ego's in place. Your ego is the one that's saying, look in the mirror and, well, this is an imperfection, I got to fix this, and this is an imperfection, I got to fix that, and I got to step out the door, I got to look good for the world. Well, your ego's doing that. That's not what your heart is telling you. And to get to this core of this aspect of love is to get to the core of the aspect of self-love. Like you said earlier on, acceptance of that around us, acceptance of that within us, above, below, and around. It's all the elements that comes together in this essence of, I know we talked about using this word, the oneness, and that's my perspective of bringing that up. But it's very vast. Because the vastness in this, Adrian, for me, in the essence of self-love, is my acceptance of this duality that I have within me. My emotional side to my physical side. Okay? To the essence of the femininity within me, to the essence of the masculinity within me. Am I in perfect balance all the time? No. Because I'm being pulled in a lot of different directions on the outside world. But on the inside of my heart, it is. And to share in this aspect and sharing in...
Because you reflect on what happens of the occurrences during that day when you have a moment quiet. So you rebalance yourself and reflect on how you actually look through that day to the eyes of other people. And then you take into consideration whether or not you have to move down that pathway of regaining some confidence in them because the disruption was only ever them facing their truth versus your truth. So then in that reflection, the balance of self comes back to that space of one, because you can sleep consciously sure that you have not rippled to the point of severity of anybody's well-being. That's how I look at it. And I see that you do a very similar thing because you're very methodical in your actions and what your approach is.
Yeah, I have to be. Okay, for me, it's of a great importance. In order for me to walk this path, and in this essence of this, the purity and the truth of love, it's something that is a constant check, 24 hours around the clock. It's constantly with me. It's not something that I'm forecasting, and it's not something I'm pulling from my yesterday. It's constantly in the moment, and this is the key. From my perspective, is that where am I in the here and now? Right now, I'm with you. We're having a beautiful conversation. Everything that transpired over the last 24 hours, it's done, it's finished, it's over. I can't do anything about it. Okay? I'm not going to drop into the energy or the energy eater of the other. I will walk away from it because I will not engage in that egotistical me, myself, and I have reason. We all have a truth. We all have a story. Okay, but your story is not greater than mine, and your truth is not greater than mine. And then it's the same thing, vice versa. And this is where this disconnection and disassociation has happened with spirit, has happened with heart. Okay, you're a man that speaks with heart. You speak with passion, and sometimes our passion comes out a little bit more blunt, a little bit more aggressive, in the sense that this is what it is. Okay, there's no story to be told about it. And not everybody is in acceptance of hearing that, because they want to hear the story. They want the softer approach. Here, hold my hand.
Exactly. And that's where that shifting of conversation needs to then pertain to the space of vibration. So if you're speaking about anger and you're speaking about levels of lies that have now been found out, that is not good. That is, as much as that is good to be spoken of, in the action in which it's being done and the retaliation that is being had by the audience that is there, that is not good for your own personal well-being. Yeah, it's a kick ride. It's a adrenaline rush. But this isn't an adrenaline rush. No. This is a place of finding the stability of self, to be able to know that this is nothing. This is nothing. That is what is happening now. To what is going to happen in the future. This is nothing. This is seeing on a fish radar that there's something happening. Yeah. Just to take the space of you coming back to you now, to gather whether or not you've got enough to go that next part. And that next part is years. It's years. So having that due diligence upon self, the responsibility of acknowledging that patience is what is required. The alignment of all of these planets in these retrogrades and these eclipses, patience is being tested. Ego is being asked. Yeah, this is the whole encompassing thing that people aren't looking about. A story's going on. That story affects with energy. What about the things that move that energy, that pull that energy from left to right and around in a circle and keeping it in the vortex of what we are?
In the ancient philosophy of shamanism, it is to return to source. So return to the beginning. The energy has been kicked up. It's affecting you. Where's the beginning? Not midstream.
Who's this Gabrielle's servant? And why is she yelling or he yelling?
They may not recognize they have caps on. That's a possibility. Okay. Well, Gabriel, if you use large letters, we sometimes see it as
yelling.
In the social media, it says that you're yelling or shouting. Okay, so if you have your caps locks locked on your keyboard, just take it off on the caps locks, and it'll come across easier in regards to this social media in that sense of it. But I think I understand where you're coming from. But anyways, going back to the source of these energies, okay, the source of all that is going on. If we don't see the source, we're not going to correct it at the start of it. Okay. And as Jackie made a comment, that she's tired of people regurgitating the same story all the time. Okay.
Yeah, regurgitating it. That's it.
Yeah. I think that's the best way to say it. You're chewing it up and you're regurgitating it. Okay. Or you're swallowing it because you believe in what's. Sorry?
Regurgitating.
Anyway, yup, shut
Say it with me. Say it with me. Regurgitating.
Regurgitating.
There it is. There it is. That's it. That's it. You didn't have the ting at the end. But it's exactly right, Gary. It's exactly right. It's the same old, same old. Yeah. And like,
well, let me address something with Heidi here. Heidi, just take your cap locks off, okay? And then we can see kind of what's being said in the verbos, okay? Good. Thank you. Okay. So coming back to the, just let it pass. It's good. Okay. Some people it's that's the way it is.
That's okay.
That's okay. I mean, it's all good things being said anyway. So it's.
I thought she was yelling. But if it's not yelling, it's okay.
No. She's like, for an example, one of the comments she just made: self-love is good, but some need to love others. It's all about love.
Of course. But loving another doesn't mean that you have to physically be down their back or responsible for writing a sign or something like that. And that's the ownership of loving another. Loving another can simply say to yourself of an evening or a morning when you tell yourself that you love yourself, that you are also grateful that there are so many people out there to be loved.
Yeah. Everybody, Adrian, at the end of the day, everybody has a desire to be loved. We all do. Okay? But we also have the desire to love and love freely. And this is one of the things that nobody has ever been taught. Creation, our creator teaches us this, but we've lost this connection. We've been disconnected from that. Okay? It's within the source of our heart. And in the source of this heart, like I like to say many times, is that to love another is to let others voluntarily evolve, which includes myself. I'm not following a program. I'm following the freedom of choice, freedom of heart, freedom of breath, freedom of willing to want to, not being forced to. Okay. And as a majority of people are gathering or not gathering, regurgitating, okay, all of these same old narratives, it's come to the point, you know what? I don't want to hear it anymore. I don't need to hear it. I know what's going on. What I need to do is change. And that means if I'm well with myself, that's the first step. Second step is, what is my actions doing within my space, within my environment, within those that I interact with? Okay. I'm not going to jump into this regurgitated narrative of everything that's been going on for the last 18 to almost 24 months. In fact, even longer before that. Okay.
Hogwash. Let's just call it hogwash, because that's all it is now. Hogwash.
It's mind fuckery.
Exactly. It's the
just hold a second.
Yeah.
You keep talking. I got to throw some wood on the fire. You know what? It's actually cold out. We've gone from 30 degrees Celsius down to about 9 degrees right now. So
okay, throw some logs on the fire. Throw some logs on the fire. I was going to say it's sad that these people that there's a responsibility through this for yourself. Nothing else. Nothing else. And the element of love is so much more than what I believe is being considered at this point in time. Because the element of forgiveness is a big negotiator with love. Okay? So in the element of loving everything, that means loving the past story as well. To a certain element of forgiveness. You don't have to love it. You just have to forgive that you went through that part of your journey on that space.
Let's take forgiveness for a minute and just kind of explore it or expand it. Okay?
Yeah.
There's a point where, me personally, there are some things I can't forgive. I don't have the power to forgive, but I do have the power to give back what doesn't belong to me. So if I take the word forgive, forgiveness doesn't mean that, you know, I've forgiven you. No, I've given back what doesn't belong to me. Because I don't have the power to say, you know, as an example, somebody who 2 years ago or almost 3 years ago poisoned my water pond. I can't forgive them. My higher power can forgive them. I give it to him. Okay, I give it to the higher power and say, you deal with it, because I do not have the power or the empowerment to forgive somebody who has done such a thing that is so evil that for me, that person had no soul. You do an act like that, you do not have a soul. Okay, you don't have heart. In fact, it's blackness. You're nothing more than you're a walking demon in a human shell. Okay,
but in the element of love, he loved to do what he did.
If he loved to do
where can forgiveness not be given? You were part of that scenario. He might have done it 1,000 times before to 1,000 different other people, and his love of doing that is what kept him balanced. The same as a murderer, the same as a pedophile. Am I saying it's acceptable? No. But I'm saying that in relation to the story and where people found themselves, that was their only element of successfully finding love, something that we've all wanted. Now, the only thing that makes it acceptable is the story created that element being a part of fluid intention by those people. Meaning it was so easily gained, the same as the drugs, the same as booze, the same as all of those lesser quality values of life. So in the element of forgiveness, perfect in the relation of forgive, that's it. That's your shit. You deal with it. That's your karma. Okay? But in the element of you putting it out there to another God or a higher God, you're only giving it to yourself, Gary, to accept that that's happened so you don't take it upon yourself to take it down that same pathway, which you know you could, to that person's front yard and backyard. So that's the balance of one. That's the ability to give and forgive intention and react, or cause an intention what happened in your own space.
I can follow you on that. Because in the essence of, if like for an example, as I said, by my giving it back and giving it to a higher power, the higher power has taken that negative and turned it into love.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what that's what he or they, or whichever way you want to believe, will always do. It will be transmutated into love. Okay.
Yeah.
But I, as a individual, I don't have that power because I'm not in the capacity to offer that. Let him take care of it and have it come back to me, because it did strengthen me. Of course it did. Okay. And I learned a great deal from that experience. Okay. Not only did I did I have anger? No, I didn't have anger. I had great sadness because I lost family. When I think about it, okay, I had better connections with my koi fish than I do with a majority of humans. In fact, almost every human. Okay, but that was before. But as we're going forward right now, meeting with you, meeting with other people around the world that are similar in this path where we're going to. We each have our own visions, our own truths, our own experiences of the story. Okay. But we also see the same goal. We see that love is the only way to heal this world, that love is the only way to heal humanity, that love is the only way to heal that of a broken soul, because nothing else will work. What, a pill will work? That doesn't work. Sending them to church? That doesn't work.
So then love will be put in the same category as forgiveness. Because those people that will be seeking the forgiveness will be taking the love and feeling that it's the forgiveness of you that has allowed that love to be present within them. As they then go through the failings, the fallings of their life to do the same thing upon the next. And this is the practice of this peace architect. This is the practice of oneness. This is the practice of self. There's always going to be a shit fight because that's all we're walking around. That's all we're walking among. And not being able to get your whole suit dirty at this point in time and allowing your feet just to be dirty, that's a good place to be, because there's a lot of shit that's being flung around. And there's a lot of chaos that's just arriving because of the present moment and the frustration and the relentless struggle of oneness within self. That's why we're here. Only going to get worse and worse the more that people speak up in regards to that is their only value that they have deemed credible at this point in time.
Jackie just put out a question here. It says, "Do you believe that all that happens is your life has come to your life due to you subconsciously or consciously needing the challenge for soul evolution?"
Exactly. No. You know that I know that.
See, if
go on.
If I look at a number of events, have these events happened because it was something for my soul to learn from? In some circumstances, yes, but not in every circumstance. If I take an example, walking around a tower in the center of Montreal, and a broker that I used to know and work with jumped out of the 14th-story building. I walk around the corner and he's there on the ground. Well, what's left of him? That wasn't meant for me to learn something from my soul. For me, there was a circumstance or an experience of life that will teach me something, yes, because you don't see it every day. Okay, it taught me something that was an atrocity of how the power of money overtook a man and he left his family. This for me is not something that was there to challenge my soul or to engage a growth of my soul. My soul was growing all the ways along that period. But this circumstance, no. That, again, is my opinion, okay, and how I see this growth period and what I've gone through in the almost 60 years of being on the face of this earth and where I've seen in this timeline. Now, for me, this timeline is my last timeline, because all of the other timelines that I've gone through has led me up to this time right now, where we are in the evolutionary chain, where we are in the change of the universe, where we are in the change of consciousness. All of it.
Yeah. That's funny. That's funny with what Gabrielle said. Yeah, lowercase is not whispering. So why is uppercase yelling? Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. Touche. And with what Jackie said, and with what you said, I think that everything has relevance to the soul, because the soul is the one that's disrupted from life to life. Okay. And if you are not evaluating like you did, and like many do, those things that seem like that can affect it in different ways, that your soul becomes destroyed. If you do not have the power and the lives that you are intuitively gaining in the voices from before, meaning that knowledge of before to calibrate you, you're running off in a chaotic mess. Now, if you were a different guy that walked around the corner and seen a friend jump out of the window and land on the ground, you could have been a blibbling mess that was in a lunatic asylum for the rest of your life, because you did not have that power of intuitive knowledge gaining that your soul is the leader in where you're arriving to. So I see that, yes, I see my opinion, is relevant to where you are within your journey and the role that you are playing. Because it all comes down to a role. When you're talking about self, there is a role upon self. Are you just there a tree, or are you a same element, but are you a fence post? Okay, same thing. Both pieces of wood, it could be the same freaking tree that this fence post is made from, but that fence post is locked in. The tree is able to throw in that action and move in accordance to where it needs to be. And I think that whole element of everything is available to the intuitive calibration of your soul. If you deem it that way, that's a good stepping stone to take that due diligence of self all the time, and be respectful of the actions in which you take. Everything we see or experiences gives us, though, for consideration, and so
thought for consideration, and so is growing us in some way. Yes, I can agree with that. You know, it's very well said. Thank you, Jackie, for that, because every experience is an opportunity for growth. True. Can't deny that. Everything. You stub your finger, you hit it with a hammer, you know, it's you got to learn from it. Okay, if not, you keep on hitting your thumb with that hammer all the time. Okay, so there's something that's not connecting. If you haven't learned from the first time, you know, was it because you were holding the hammer the wrong way? You weren't paying attention to what you were doing? Okay, you know, it's all part of that experience that we grow from, or grow into, or grow to. Okay, I mean, it can be a multiple level of growth that takes place. The aspect that I hit myself with the hammer, okay, may have been to the moment that I needed to realize, hey, I'm stepping too far ahead of myself. Step back and reflect and connect. So let's talk about the religions.
Yeah, well, let's talk about this. Let's talk about this ridiculous little thing about religions and their symbols and their gods. I'm happy to talk about that, because
fallen angels and one world government is under the Nephilim sons of the Azia. Okay, yeah. When we talk about the religions, okay, we can talk about all of these religions and find out that they're all nothing more but a bad story. I don't follow, and I think you're the same, okay, or correct me if I'm wrong. I don't follow a religion. I don't believe in what the written book has been written by a man to teach me that this is the way of life, because the way of life is what I find from within. And my essence of spirituality is my growth. It has not got a name upon it. I can talk about the fallen angels. Yes, we can all talk about these. Okay, You know, we can talk about the demons. Of course we can. Do they exist?
Of course they all exist, but this is part of the conversation of why are we talking about that, Gabrielle? Yeah, why are we getting people to a fear level of these things that we can't see until we go through certain veils to understand that they exist? So why are we putting other pathways of what you would deem as opportunity for people to find when it really means nothing? The acceptance is a large component. Yes, 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 yes. How many of that affects me? None of it, because I consider that it was served and it was dealt with, and I'm responsible for me. So the whole Nephilim, the whole fallen angels, this is a story that has gone on for many, 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 many eons. Yeah, and we don't need to talk about it because they will arrive for those that are able to witness it. As anything will happen for those that have the faith and trust within themselves that this is all happening for those reasons. Nothing else means anything. You can forget about the story entirely, not even negotiate it, and we be like the first people on the planet Moon. And we build from this space because this is this end scenario.
Hold on a
This is the
second.
rational.
I got to plug my phone in. If not, the battery's going to die.
Okay, this is that end of storylines as storylines merge. There is a lot further than, there's a lot greater than the story of what religion has held to the story of what religion holds. And what you think you know about religion is something that is limited to the full exposure of what religion will pop when religion's doors open to the truth.
Question for you, Adrian. Do you do you believe or have had the experience that maybe angels can talk to you?
Of course, of course. And that's the veils that you need to go through to understand that that's those voices. Yeah, there are veils in which are all over us. We're like that 99 veil dance, whatever it is that the Arabians do, and it's, or an onion. It's stripping the many levels of contempt, conformity, exaggeration, whatever words you want to put. Not everybody is receptive to all of that, and not a lot of the male domination is. And if they are, it's coming from the current religious places, and they're committing to that word that's necessary for people to hear, and it's speaking in holy words under humanity as opposed to that person's genuine voice. There is a story that is a paper trail that why they're talking to that dynamic, and the next part, sorry, is the religious that come out.
Beautiful. Okay, and experience, story time, just a little one, short one. When I went through a near-death experience, and many people have not gone through this, okay, and some don't believe in it, and that's fine, okay. I know how I was greeted, what I felt, what I was told. Were there angels present? Yes, there were, and I will contest that and still hold to my truth on that because that's the only reason I'm still back here, as far as I'm concerned. When I went through the second near-death experience, now it was not something that was an accident. It was something that was a choice because at a moment in life when brokenness had hit me. The same angels or same angel appeared. And I was greeted by that same person. Okay, I'm not going to name any names because I'm not going to get into the controversy of the stories. But I do believe in the power of the angels, and I do believe in the power of the fallen ones. Okay, it's a choice of what path you take. I believe in the power that's above me. I also believe in the power that's within me. I believe that as all of us as humans, we have been created in the image of God. We have God-like powers. When we come into this essence of understanding, okay? But many go to the level of, well, I'm not just got God-like powers, I feel that I'm a God, okay? And that's where we're wrong, from my perspective, okay? Because if you're God, I will truly bow before you, okay? And I've yet to meet one, okay? I can meet my spirit. I can meet in my dreams, but on the face of this earth, no. Okay, we are in this godlike movement. We're in the ascension is part of a godlike movement, but it's not just 5D. Where everybody's stuck on this 5D, moving from 3D to 4D to 5D, is that it's way beyond that. It goes way beyond this. Okay, it's a stepping stone. And the stepping stone is that first we have to come back to this godlike power and be responsible for and own, not just responsible, but own our actions and reactions as we walk the face of this earth, where 90% of the population doesn't. You know, there's very few that are owning everything that they do. And that means own your mistakes as much as own your successes. Okay? But if you can't own your mistake, then your success means nothing. It means absolutely nothing, because it's a smoke screen upon the false sense of who you are. You're not following in this essence towards compassion, towards love, towards kindness that begins with self. With self, I have to be kind to me. I have to be compassionate to myself. If I don't have these elements, how can I share that? How can I talk about it? I'm just talking words if I'm not applying it to myself in my day-to-day activities, in my day-to-day life. Okay? And many of us are searching for this. We're searching to, how do I move forward? How do we change? Well, how do you change? I think I said it earlier on, is step into the mirror. Okay? And change right there. Change the perspective of what you see in yourself. See the truth of yourself. And then make your decisions from there moving forward.
Question. How many people do you think are in this movement around the planet?
How many people are in this movement around the planet?
The ones that you would say that are the WOKE. The ones that are fighting one storyline.
I honestly don't have an answer. I honestly don't.
So then, before all of this 2020 expose, do you think the people that were protesting for all of the different protests before that, be it Palestine, be it vaccine, or be it veganism, be it vegan, be it whatever it may be, do you think that they're all fighting in the same space as what this vaccination is? These COVID warriors, these ones that are fighting this cause for humanity?
Yes.
You think
And
a large proportion of them are?
I think a large proportion of it, yes. Absolutely. You know, whether it's all Black Lives Matter or all, now it's all Asian lives matter, and you know, it's all vegan life matters, and it's all this matters, and all that matters. It's all the same dismay, the same
have
disconnection.
They all joined up? Have they all joined up?
No, they're still running around in separate groups.
Correct. Okay. So if every one of those people, and let's say that it's, what would you say, 1% of the population across the planet?
I mean, 1% that's outside of all of this protesting.
No, 1% that's the protesting. The 1% is the protesting element. Do you think that it'd be 1% that would be there? Which is how much? 7.8 billion. 1% of that is going to be what? 780 million? Or 7.8 million? Or 78 million? What is it?
1%.
7.8. Anyway, whatever it may be, if every one of those people heard what you just said about the element of God within us, they could all see that same very concept and therefore make the changes upon themselves that make them the gods in which this is all about. And if we talk about all of history, there's always been the returning of gods. There's always been the returning or the story of this return to balance the scales.
Mm-hmm.
None of them created a war because the war was already over, because the war was with self. And they were only there to ever pick up the pieces and be responsible for the loving light for those people to see, to carry as they move past. This is what this is all about. They're not even considering the element of light within them, as all they're seeing is the darkness of the story in which they found themselves. And to talk and negotiate about all of those stories, we're going to be doing this till 2032.
We don't have 20 or 30 years left if we keep on doing it.
That's
we
only
got
10
3
years.
years.
That's
We
only
got
10
3
years.
years that if we do
Yeah, I
not.
understand that. 3 years is the analogy that all of that expiry date on that V takes place. Okay, so that's the 3 years. And there's now starting that element of ego saying, okay, I've got the stronghold here because this is what it needs. The women need muscle. This is what it's about. It's muscle. And it's that God-fearing element of what the book reads as opposed to the heartfelt element of what your heart feels. And that's how people are actually dealing with the day-to-day. Because if the book says that we're in Sodom and Gomorrah and it's the last days of Armageddon, people are doomsday prepping themselves for that function of a war. When in actual fact, they should be preparing themselves for the necessary elements that need them to survive. And I'm talking about food and water. And a place where their health is not going to be terrorized and their stability of family life is not going to be interfered. These are things that people aren't even considering, as they're only vacating the fucking storyline that is actually the storyline that people are waking up to in their own time as they're getting forced to face their truth. The people that have already seen the truth should be now looking at that further extension of truth to peel off that next layer of onion, to peel off another layer of onion again, and consider that the evolution is not just meeting one mini stage on a fucking game. This is a life now. This is a life of change that is every day. It's not I accept this and it's going to be okay. Being prepared whilst accepting what is extraordinary and ordinary. Because it's moment by moment, as you said.
You know, I think a vast majority think that once the ascension has taken place, okay, or we've arrived at it, is that that's it. We're going to be in a world of joy. And I don't believe that, for one, because everything is still doing the same thing. The groups,
There's
the
no
protests, the division,
no
the fighting amongst peoples, all of it. You know, it's being driven for a reason. It's like every border of every country has been produced to drive a division of the peoples. Your government versus my government, their government versus this government. All of this has to be stripped away. We can't keep going this way. At least I believe.
We don't go this way. They go that way. We go that way. It's a big world. There's enough air for everybody to breathe. The division
I need 900 square feet and I'm good.
Yeah, well, that's it. That's it. They're already doing the division. They're doing it through sports. They're not allowing unvaccinated people to go and watch games of NBA, NFL, all of those. It's going to be worldwide. That's going to create chaos.
Oh, God. They have a lottery going on in the United States right now. For every person that gets vaccinated, you could win a couple of $1 million, as an example.
Exactly. But like your sports, but a person might have spent $400 on a season membership, and now they're told that they can't go because they've made a choice that they're not vaccinated, and they've given 3 generations to that team. It's a family sport. It's a family-orientated space, and they've given that much. The same applies to religion. The division in which you're talking about, they're systematically taken it across the board and placed it so it is going to affect every single person.
Oh, you know, as a sports town, Edmonton is a very big sports town. You know, the Edmonton Oilers, in regards to hockey, believe me, it's everything. And that same thing is being proposed. Unvaccinated, you can't go to the games.
So it's going to be the same as concerts. That's going to be the same as any form of entertainment. Movie theaters, the whole lot. Supermarkets, they're going to do the same thing. This is the system that they're playing. This is the game that they're wanting to take place. To fight that now, what the hell? What the hell? You can't do that. It's not going to work. It would never work. It's never, ever worked. Change is abundant. The fallen angels you spoke about, you can only find them. They will only find you when either you are in the darkest element of your own personal light and their light reflects on you when you ask that question, or when you are actually there within that high vibration consistently.
True.
And they're like your next door neighbor. Yeah, but until you are there, until you've gone that gauntlet of life to experience that whole forgiveness, the whole element of self-forgiveness, to appreciate that you might as well shut up for a little while because you really got nothing to say. And then appreciate what your intuition has been telling you, the whole journey of life, of how life can be taken away in a second. If you do not appreciate what breath is, if you do not appreciate what you are. And appreciating what you are doesn't mean punching on, getting that angry and being that responsible for that action only.
Very true.
That's the thing that really pisses me off. People talk big talks, but not a lot of them consider what they do to themselves with the words they speak, or what they propel upon other people. Therefore, there's a little bit of incitement and contempt in regards to the respect that I would have for them, because they don't do that. They do that consciously. Yeah? Not subconsciously, it's consciously. So that's dangerous. We're talking about love being the element of abundance for all, the element of evolution. People need to understand that love can float in many different vibrations. The element of love with truth, there's only one real story that takes place there. The rest is an exaggeration of lesser qualities, and that's why it's found in lower vibration. The same word.
Lots of things got touched tonight.
Yeah, it's been good.
And
it's been very
you know, bro, I love speaking with you because one, we see eye to eye on almost everything. Different perspectives, of course, but we see eye to eye. We're coming to the same point. I know what you're trying to do in your part of the world. I also know, and I think you know what I'm trying to do in my part of the world as well.
Yeah,
and we're doing it in micro groups.
Yeah.
Okay, it's one at a time.
But that's all that this was. That's all that this was. The second coming of that was Jesus didn't have the power of what Jesus had before. What he was able to do was unite upon all little clusters around the planet to be able to talk of change, and therefore make the changes upon themselves that illustrated to those that were seeking change the inevitable space that they wanted to seek and find. And that's all that this is. That's all that this is. It's the appreciation that this moment is the golden moment. Whenever you are appreciating the beauty and magnificence of your story, there's nothing else. That's not vain. That is actually taking the due diligence and respect that you can pat yourself on the back. And I'm talking to everybody that's watching, that it's okay to want to argue. It's okay to want to fight. That is what makes us so powerful. But when we take a step back and see that our breath is better served quiet at this point in time, The evolution in which you're seeking, the ascension, you have already signed the contract to make. It will arrive without the confusion of what you currently have, because that confusion is the ego saying, no, 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 no. It's not like that. They're going to do this. They're going to do that. It's all about this. It's all about that. Oh, my God, what about the children? When all of it is just a simple breath to acknowledge that all of that story had to take place for you to be right here at this point in time.
Beautifully said, Adrian. And as we come to the close, it's been a late start, okay? And I do apologize for that. And we'll make sure that that doesn't happen again.
Yeah, it'll happen again because shit and shit meant to happen. So if it happens again,
it's so true. So true, okay? But this time around, it was my fault because I was being stubborn. In a sense that you saw the picture I showed you of what some of the things I'm working on. And I just had to get this one part of it done so she could have a little bit of privacy because she wanted to have a fire tonight. So I said, okay, I'll get the second partition up. And before I realized, I looked at the time, I'm going, oh shit. Okay, so, but anyways, it was all good. I mean, everything's all good in it. Do you have any parting words for the audience, my beautiful friend?
Parting words. Your expectation of change can be ultimately interfering the change in which you seek, because you are excited that you need to find it. The moment that you sit, the moment that you breathe, the moment that you respect that you are you, you will see that you don't have to go anywhere at all to simply come to oneness.
I don't know if I can add anything to that.
You give me 5 days off. You give me 5 days off, no noise, and it's like music all the time.
You know, we have to take a break from it every once in a while and disconnect from it. Okay, I mean, I'm fairly good with the use of social media in the sense of I have a message to send out and that's it. I don't go any further with it, and I don't allow it to control my life. If you try and call me on my telephone and I don't answer my telephone, if you get pissed because I didn't answer my telephone, take a chill pill, okay? Because I might be sitting on the toilet. So I'm not going to answer my phone like many people do. But to the audience that's listening, thank you for everything that you're doing. Is maybe you don't realize it already, but you're already doing something by just listening to me and Adrian. Okay? If you've been with us for this last hour or so, listening to us, you're already part of that change because what we've said, it will resonate with you. But the most important part for you to do right now is, like Adrian had mentioned, was acceptance, surrender. Surrender to the yesterdays and find acceptance in the present moment. Grasp this present moment as if it's your last breath. Don't lose sight of it, but grab it as your last breath and then breathe. And keep breathing until next Saturday, hopefully, when you'll join me and Adrian once again, and we will talk about a little bit more of this, a little bit more of that, and some randomization, but it's all raw, it's all real. We're both beautiful human beings. As you, the audience, you're a beautiful human being as well. Even if you don't think you are, you are. Okay? I believe it, and I'm sure that Adrian believes that you are as well.
God, all magnificent. Everyone has been born magnificent. And those that are finding that glow within them now when they've got nothing to look at apart from themselves when they're looking for love, that is that element of the Midas touch. You can go and then put that upon any person and watch them change. Having faith is what you need to do within you. I wasn't cutting you off, brother.
Faith is no. Faith is everything. And Adrian, you never cut me off. It's a beautiful interaction, and I appreciate your presence. And thanks to Karina, I believe, who nobody outbid her. So she set up a high bid. Nobody outbid her. So that'll be shipped out shortly. And
thank you, Karina.
After that, I'll take care of all of that with you as well, Adrian, so you can get that to move on forward and help a little bit out with what's all going on. Other than that, love. I love you, bro. I truly do.
I love you too. Love you too. And Hassan, thank you so much for putting this together. I know you're sitting back studio and you're listening. Thank you so much, brother, for putting this together week in, week out. This is the goal.
Yeah, and in fact, I'm going to endorse what Adrian had said. Hassan, thank you so much for what you're doing. As we know, you're in the background. You've taken your StreamYard. You're bringing us out to the world. You're setting it up well. I like new logo designs, everything. And we wouldn't be able to reach this many people if it wasn't for you, Hassan. So once again, thank you very much for being a brother. Thank you for being part of what we're doing. And there's more to come. So to everybody out there, peace, love, acceptance, keep on smiling. It only takes 10 muscles, 10 muscles.
Exactly. Ciao, everyone. Bye.
Ciao, everybody. Namaste.